we are in the holidays. We've been talking about it. And so I wanted to buy like used things in local retail as gifts. And I went to an antique fair in early December and I ended up buying a bunch of gifts there. And one of them was for my husband for his birthday. And I picked him up the 1970 January holiday issue of Playboy. If you're on video,
Oh, look at
I'm putting
that.
it up. Yeah, there's some cute 1970 titties on there. Um, and it's really thick also, by the way. If you're on video, you
Yeah.
can see how
Wow.
many pages are in this Playboy magazine. And
Man, that looks like a
yeah,
Vogue or something.
and maybe if you're listening, you're like, okay, Ben was talking about the long history of cannabis. Why are you talking about a 1970 Playboy?
I'm here for it. You don't have to explain.
And I really did not buy the Playboy magazine for any cannabis related reason, but as such is my life, of course, turning to page 4 to the Dear Playboy letter section, it's all about marijuana policy.
Hmm.
And yeah, right?
So
And
you actually sat down and started reading the articles in the Playboy?
so I did not, but my husband did. And he left it open and was like, "You got to check this out. Is this why you bought the magazine?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Look at these letters." And as it
Mhm.
turned out, the issue that came right before the holiday issue that they published in 69 was an article from a Dr. Joel Fort, and it was titled Pot, A Rational Approach. And these letters in the holiday issue were all responses to this article that Dr. Fort had written. And his core thesis of the article was that marijuana policy had become detached from science, proportionality, and public health, and that the consequences of prohibition were more harmful than the drug itself. And he was advocating more sensible governance, regulation, and public policy. He
Mm.
said that the risks of marijuana were exaggerated, that it was less dangerous than alcohol and tobacco, and that it did not justify felony penalties. He said that the science had been politicized and that he called for separating moral discomfort from medical evidence.
Mm.
What? Are we not still having this conversation today? Crazy, right?
Well, it's
Um,
yeah, it is crazy because like the Controlled Substances Act came out right around the same time, right? It was like 1970.
yes.
Yeah,
So
that the bill was
this,
signed into law.
the bill was signed into the law in 1970, creating the schedule. So we were having this policy debate. This was published in 1969 at the end of the year, right around this time of year. And within 12 months, the marijuana scheduling into Schedule 1 had occurred. So 55 years ago, we were having a very similar debate as we were having today. But this time it was happening in a men's magazine, which
Wow.
just blows my mind. I mean, come on. So I just really was taken aback. And as we were
Yeah.
thinking about what we wanted to say for the end of the year, it's so important as we like to look back on the short term to even look back and say, like, are we repeating the history that we've been through before? And I think that the history is different. It looks different, but it's still we're still having the same debate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So some things I
It's
wanted to point out too. Yeah, go ahead.
well, yeah, it's just one of my big fears about where we're at right now is I think there's a lot of excitement about this administration and what they could do for the progression of policy reform for cannabis. But as this letter in 1970 pointed out, like the impacts to the war on drugs to communities, like I don't think this administration is very motivated to right those impacts. And so sure we might get some advances from a business standpoint with the removal of 280E. Schedule 3 is not going to do a whole lot more besides opening up new pathways to research and we've talked about all this. But the sad thing is that we're just not going to I just don't think we're going to see any progress for the damages done to communities of color and other minority groups because of cannabis.
With this administration, I would agree
With
with
this
that.
administration, we may lay the groundwork for something to be done in future administrations, but
Yeah.
um,
Hopefully
yeah,
it doesn't take 55 more years. Yeah, I'm with you, and I think that it is important to remember that even 55 years ago, we were talking about the harms of criminalization. But there's also something else going on, which is interesting, which is that there's been a narrative that cannabis policy and advocacy and reform is some sort of counterculture movement. But what I'm looking at in the pages of Playboy are letters from sitting US members of the House of Representatives. There were
Hmm.
3 letters in the magazine published from different representatives, Representative Jerome Waldy, Representative William Hathaway, and Representative Charles Wilson, along with Harry Anslinger, who at that time in 1969 had retired from over 32 years as commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He basically was the one that created the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937 and was the originator of many of the fear based narratives around cannabis prohibition, violence, insanity, moral collapse related to cannabis, all these things. And yet, here all these people are writing to Playboy. And the fact that was happening in the pages of a men's magazine in 1969 just reinforced for me that this is not a counterculture discussion.
Hmm.
This is mainstream. We have Congress people that have been actually calling for more medical evidence, more mainstream policy discussions for a really long time. And it's now just like time to get something done. This is just the debate is real. It's been national for a long time. It belongs in public view. I'm just haunted by this. I can't seem to get over it.
Yeah, I just think it's uh, when Richard Nixon was impeached, I think they should have just erased anything he had ever done because like the Controlled Substances Act has just been such the bane of our society. I don't know. Yeah, it is a shame. I do hope we can move past it. I do hope we can. I don't know. Yeah. How do we remove ourselves from this counterculture label that we've had to bear for the last 5 or 6 decades plus? Right. Also, just side note, really interesting that congressmen used to be comfortable writing in letters and being published in Playboy in a men's magazine. I had always heard the joke when I was growing up about, oh, we read it for the articles. I just thought that was just a cover up, but apparently the articles were pretty good.
The articles were so good. There's all these other incredible articles in there too. We won't go down that rabbit hole because they're not cannabis related. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mirrors to today
Mhm.
in looking back into history. But at the same time, what's chilling is that like we've got more data. We have millions of legal consumers today. We have billions of dollars of regulated sales, but yet we're still saying the same arguments that they were saying back then. We need more
Mhm.
studying. We have all these public health concerns. We must proceed cautiously. It's like we've been proceeding cautiously. And so 55 years later, we're still asking the same question. Why is policy so far behind the evidence?
Mm.
And I think that the Playboy has kind of given me this moment to think of an answer, which is that maybe because it always has. This is just a hard conversation. It
Yeah.
touches on all of these aspects of the human condition. It touches on public health, touches on religion and morals and
Federal
racism,
jobs.
federal jobs, yeah, incarceration, bigotry, leadership, all of like where are arguments won, who's in control, where the power dynamics lie. It's
Mhm.
unionization, all this stuff. It's just wild.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
doesn't seem like our job's going to get any easier anytime soon.